Okay, recording this video on Sunday, the 30th of April, 2023, just gone 1:52 p.m. Chicago time. Do hope you are doing well. So it's the weekend and time for another weekend futures market recap, where I go through 15 of the largest futures markets and I show you what I'm seeing on my charts. And that was quite a week. At the beginning of the week, I was thinking, I've got this wrong. We're selling off harder than I thought. We're going to have to, test the lows. I'm kind of in trouble because I'm pretty exposed on the upside here. And then all of a sudden, Tuesday into Wednesday rolled around. We had a V reversal and bang, we're at highs here, and we're breaking out into a serious uptrend. So it's all good by the end of the week, but at the beginning of the week, I was really starting to question what I've been saying over the last 3 or 4 months. Anyway, I'm going to show you the charts. Start off with the NASDAQ chart, then show you the Russell, then the E-mini from the daily chart all the way down to the tick bar charts, and then we'll go through the signals on each of the tick bar charts. But I'm really looking forward to the next couple of weeks because I think we're going to have some super big kind of trending moves, and that'll be kind of good. It feels really odd. I mean, it always feels odd to be so bullish when everything I'm reading and watching and seeing seems so negative. We've got another bank collapse happening this weekend. Every channel I seem to subscribe to is talking about the death of the US dollar and market's going to fall apart, but I just don't see it in the charts. So and that's what I'm a technical trader, just look at the charts and try and block out the news and the noise. Let's get some charts. This is the NASDAQ chart I showed you a couple of weeks ago, where we were talking about big things happen at triples. When you have triple resistance or support on all three timeframes, the low and the intermediate and the highest time frame, we either get big reversals or big breakouts. And so this is a better sine wave here on the right hand panel, which is calculating the cyclical activity in 3 different time frames that allows us to plot those support and resistance levels on 3 time frames. And when we get breaks of support and resistance levels, that means that the cycle has failed and we're breaking into a trend move. And so, a couple of weeks ago I was talking about this triple here. Whoops, let's cancel that. Didn't want to do that. This triple going on here, you can see SR1, 2, and 3 are all white. Fairly close together, actually very close together in terms of an index chart here. So we've got resistance on the low, that's the really tiny little dots here, low time frame, the intermediate time frame, the medium-sized dots, and then the highest time frame here shown with the larger dots. It looks like a line when you kind of compress the bars together, but in fact the plotting mechanism in TradeStation is actually a dot there. So big things happen at triples. So either we would get at that triple resistance, the market could not go any further, and we kind of break to the downside and we complete that cycle on the highest time frame, or we break to the upside and we break into a trending move, and that's what happened on Friday's activity here with the NASDAQ. So the bar has turned red, the background has turned red, we're in a confirmed uptrend, and we're breaking to new highs. Now, which direction, what's it going to do at those triples? You know it's going to reverse, if it's going to break through. Well, you have to look to the background to see what the professionals are doing and what the momentum patterns are doing. We had one little professional bar kind of ages ago back here. It was more convincing on the E-mini chart. And we also had exhaustion buys here kind of getting the move going. We had 2 that potentially this was stopping the move, but it was only a fraction above this 13,000 level. So we really hadn't gone places. This is just showing kind of the strength of the buying activity going on here. So my expectation is that we'll continue into an uptrend here, and this won't end until we start to see pullback to end of trends on these time frames. And we're breaking the high and the intermediate time frame, which means that's a pretty serious move. So that's got to go see at least pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame. So who knows where that's going, but it's kind of a good sign. It's bullish for equities, and I think we see the same kind of pattern, the triple pattern on the E-mini. But let's look at the Russell first. So of all the index charts, so I look at the E-mini, obviously, which is the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, obviously, the Dow and the Russell. So those are our 4 major indices, and they kind of line up slightly differently based on the strength of the various segments in the equities market. The Russell as someone pointed out to me the other week, is got quite a large exposure to regional banks, and so it's been one of the weakest of the indices. What has been the weakest of those four indices. And so although on the NASDAQ we're breaking into an uptrend here, all we're doing on the Russell is coming down and making another cyclical low from which to potentially bounce. And here we've had some good news on Friday because we put in a pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame, and that's syncing up with cyclical support on the intermediate time frame. And at some point you can see here these thick lines on better sine wave, that's the highest time frame. They will kind of come together and that will give us a cyclical support on the highest time frame. So this will be another triple, but it'll be, instead of a triple in terms of a breakout move here, that'll be a triple support going on. And if all the indices are kind of going higher, that means that triple support, big things happen at triples, will hold and we'll have a cyclical move up from those lows. And again, can we guess the direction that level will hold? Potentially yes, because we've had exhaustion sell and bullish divergence kind of going on here. We've had blue professional bars coming at those lows, little bit of amateur bars kind of buying that weakness after that amateur push, testing back down. We've had a little divergence pattern on momentum here. The only thing I'd say is this divergence pattern is close to the zero line. I like to see that further away. Potentially we could see a flush pattern, so there could be kind of some flushing out at some point on the Russell. But that's all good for, if this week, if I'm right about the markets holding, we'll put in that cyclical support on the daily chart. It'll be a triple on the Russell, and then the Russell will kind of move ahead. So, daily chart of the E-mini didn't have a triple pattern on this chart, but we're starting to break up, and we've been in a confirmed uptrend for a few days here with the background in red. Confirmed uptrend just means that in terms of price and volume, we're in uptrends. So, Better Pro-Am is showing that we're breaking above the trailing stop that trails down with the professional bars, and Better Sine Wave is showing that the tendency is to break above the resistance levels. So that means there's strength and there's uptrend, and the support levels are holding and they're not being broken. So that's why we've got support there. And the background's in red, which means an uptrend on the daily chart. We go down to the 135-minute chart, background's in red, we're in an uptrend. 45-minute chart, the background's turned into red, we're in an uptrend. Down to the 15-minute chart, the background's in red, we're in an uptrend. And the 13,500 tip bar chart, look at here from the low here on kind of Tuesday into Wednesday, bang, background's in red. So we've got everything going on in terms of a breakout here. And I don't know, is it going to be surprising everybody? And so all of a sudden, the big money kind of realizes that it's got to chase this trend, kind of get on board. Are we going to have a short covering rally? How many people are short at this point, where they're kind of taken out on their stops? And that just fuels even more kind of move to the upside, but it should be a good week. We got May Day on Monday, 1st of May, and so some of the markets kind of in Europe are shut because of that, but obviously the US markets aren't shut. I don't know. And then in terms of news releases this week, we've got Fed stuff, we've got stuff coming out of Eurozone with CPI numbers. So there's enough news to be a catalyst for kind of breaking this market higher. People convince themselves that the news is good enough for the equities markets to rally. But it's all in the chart, and it's been in the chart since down here at these lows. Let me show you. So the 15-minute chart was really nice down here. We had pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame. This is where I was talking about this week, that at the beginning of the week we had this kind of sharp sell-off, and I was like, wow, that surprised me how much it went down. And because we put in pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame and we're below support on the intermediate time frame, we should put in a pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame, but that is not what happened. You can see here that was a V reversal down here, blue professional bars at the lows. Wasn't particularly bad in terms of an exhaustion sell or anything like that. In terms of momentum, it was actually neutral on the zero line kind of down here. And then the market kind of broke above resistance at this point here, and bang, 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 we're into a strong uptrend. And the 13,500 tip bar chart, this is really nice. So talk about the end of trends rippling through the time frames. So pull back to end of trend on the lowest time frame, then pull back to end of trend on the intermediate time frame. It's at support on the highest time frame, and then as soon as we're breaking above here, we've done our damage on the downside. We've got out all of the trending energy because those end of trends have been put in. The blue professional bars kind of get involved here at that low at 40.80. blue professional bars kind of, let me just bump that up so we can see that, bang, bang, buy it, blah, blah, blah. And then with an exhaustion buy pattern, getting the move going. And now we've broken into a serious uptrend because we're above resistance on the intermediate time frame here and resistance on the highest time frame. So we're going places. Are we going to run out of steam kind of Monday, Tuesday this week? Not sure, don't think so. You know, we need to see another exhaustion pattern to end that pattern. Yes, we've had pullback to end of trend on the lowest time frame here, but we've got to go see pullback to end of trend on the intermediate time frame there. So it's all good. But finally, everything's kind of turned around and we've got red backgrounds on all of the charts. So let's see, this week should be good. All right, so there we go. We're talking about equities markets. Let's go through the tip bar charts and show you all the signals happening on the other charts. So last week I was seeing kind of strength in the Forex pairs and weakness in the US dollar, and that was kind of relatively good in terms of, you know, global liquidity for US dollars and so on. This week it's kind of turned around that the US dollar is strong and all of those other Forex currencies are weak, and it's showing that, you know, all the capital around the world, you know, the kind of the spare capital, the investable capital that's floating around, is kind of flowing into US assets. And so the US dollar is strengthening, the equities market is strengthening, the bond market is strengthening. So let me show you those charts. So first of all, this is the euro chart. So at the beginning of this last week, I was long euro, and now after this week's activity, I'm short euro. So we had a signal at the end of last week. The solid yellow lines show the beginning and ends of weeks. So this is the last week's activity. So I was long euro based on this, and then got out because of it. 111 level was psychologically kind of important. We bust above that, and now we're kind of showing weakness here. We haven't had a signal on this chart, but on the lower time frame charts, there are signals kind of short. Let's wait and see. I'm not kind of convinced about this yet on the euro. It might kind of test the highs again before kind of coming down. So let's see on the euro. British pound was actually super strong this week. So last week there were signals kind of long. It kept on going, but look at this pattern here. Whole bunch of blue professional bars into these highs and then exhaustion sell. We'll see that on a bunch of charts, and that's not potentially a good sign. If that happens at the lows down here and it's getting the move going, yes, we're at the highs up here at 125, 126. So let's wait to see if we get a reversal signal on the British pound and it breaks through this trailing support on better pro-am, and the British pound kind of moves into a downtrend. Aussie dollar, yep, has been weak the last 2 or 3 weeks. We had signals, what is that, 1, 2, 3 weeks ago, shorts kind of playing in those levels. That's kind of signal that I'm showing you on the British pound, same kind of thing, into those highs. Whole bunch of blue professional bars kind of come in, and then we kind of here exhaustion sell, taking profits, getting the move going. We test with these sign of weaknesses with the white arrows, and we kind of continue down, and not a whole bunch of blue professional bars at these lows to end that move. So the Aussie dollar is kind of weak, and the Aussie dollar tends to be one of those currencies I talk about this being high beta. It tends to move early, moves bigger than the other kind of currencies. So British pound, interestingly enough, is strongest of the bunch. But are we going to see a reversal in the British pound this week? And that'll be interesting to look for. Japanese yen already signaled down. So this is the signals this week. Really nice. There we go. There's that kind of pattern here. This happened with exhaustion buy, which is nice. Bearish divergence, and that's what generated our signal here. So that's a classic triple signal. So all three non-correlated indicators kind of come together. We get exhaustion buy and bearish divergence. That's volume momentum. We're done. We're overbought with the background in gray. That's better sine wave in terms of the price activity. And then as soon as the trailing stop is broken, which is using the average trade size to identify professional activity, as soon as the trailing stop is broken, bang, that's when we get our signals. So we had more signals kind of going on here midweek, and then bang, really sold off hard. No blue professional bars coming in at the lows. The trailing stop on better pro-am is miles away here. So all of the currencies are fairly weak, which means US dollar is strong. We know that the equities market is strong. This is the 13,500 tip bar chart. There we go, midweek. So at the end of last week, we did have signals. Didn't kind of work out, and that was the testing into those lows. The blue professional bars kind of come in. We get our signals, bang, and we ramp, 100 plus points in 2 days, which is nice. So that's the E-mini and 10-year notes this week. So nice signals last week, bang. signal long, then we finally get another kind of resumption, exhaustion sell, all those blue professional bars coming on that V reversal, bang, this exhaustion buy pattern is getting the move going, and then we end the move with exhaustion buy, bearish divergence flush, and then we come into a triple signal here and we sell off again. Now at those lows, yep, professionals kind of took profits here, but then we kind of move up here and we've got all these blue professional bars. And I was talking about the international kind of capital moving into bonds. Let's wait and see. I mean, it won't generate a short signal because we don't have overbought yet at that point. But we need to see if this is kind of continuation of this. So if the blue professional bars, they're not taking profits like at those highs, they might be kind of getting this move going to test those highs, which is interesting. So bonds going up means rates kind of coming down and kind of capital flowing into the US markets. So let's wait and see on 10-year notes to see what happens there. Gold, silver, Bitcoin. So gold here, been bottoming. We've had triple signals going on for the last 2 weeks. It's trying to break out, but you know, blue professional bars kind of come in here at 2,000. We come down, we don't get the break. No blue professional bars at these lows yet, so it's still weak on gold. But we've had nice exhaustion patterns and bullish divergence. Let's see, you know, if it gets through 2020 here on gold, but nothing to show that's broken into an uptrend yet. This is kind of nice this week on silver. Bit of a V reversal here. We test into 24.74, bang, and it holds, and the market's kind of strong. Bullish divergence kind of comes in. So yeah, maybe silver is going to break, and then gold would kind of go with it. Bitcoin has been strong. We had a nice signal this week down here at the lows. All those blue professional bars, bullish divergence, oversold, breaks above the trailing stop, and we get our signal. And that was super. I think these were kind of rumors in the market here about one of the exchanges or something going on. So the blue professional bars, the professionals here, and they just slam it down. V reversal, blue professional bars picking it up on the way down and then getting the move going with an exhaustion sell pattern kind of down there. And now on this test, blue professional bars kind of come in and then we continue to break into an uptrend here. So although we're kind of selling off at the moment, still think Bitcoin is looking strong. So let's see if that kind of holds and we get through 30,000 this week. Now crude last week I was very bullish on crude because we had all of these signals happening at the end of last week, but took off a little bit to the upside to 79 and then it just gave way. We tested down into 74, but at least here at 74 we have a whole bunch of blue professional bars kind of coming in, far more than we had in the last signals, which is kind of good. Bullish divergence, oversold, break above the trailing stop, and there we go. We got our triple signals again. Exhaustion buy, getting the move going. So at 76, crude finally is kind of going. Natural gas, yep, signals this week. Not a whole bunch of blue professional bars, but boy, it's super volatile. You know, those lows down at 2015 were important. We came back, test those, and it kind of sunk down again. I don't know, I'd wait for more blue professional bars to kind of step in on a retrace before following that in on natural gas. And then copper. Copper did start to signal this week, which is good. We'd had some signals here, but they didn't look right because that was based on exhaustion sell, which was getting this downtrend going. But then finally, this move ends with exhaustion sell, bullish divergence. Not a whole bunch of blue professional bars kind of come in yet. But that's looking stronger, and if we get above this kind of area, that would be kind of confirmation that we're breaking back up into an uptrend on copper. So copper's good, and then all of the ags this week just fell out of bed. So we had signals last week, exhaustion buy, bearish divergence, bang, short, and then bang, bang, bang to the lows. Not a whole bunch of blue professional bars yet at those lows. Some here, but not a whole bunch yet. But that was a super big move in corn. Did not get on board that. I was long corn a couple of weeks ago, and that was kind of good for a trade, but I didn't get on board the short, which was a mistake. Same thing with soybeans. There we go. Blue professional bars getting the move going. There's our triple signal last week. Not very much activity during last week with the lines for weekly start and end being really close together. But then as soon as this move kind of got going, bang, it fell out of bed quickly. But no blue professional bars. The trailing stop is miles away on soybeans. And lastly, wheat. Same thing. Wheat is weak. And no signals yet, but that's a setup happening. Got blue professional bars, exhaustion, sell, bullish divergence, flush. Just need to break above 643 to kind of trigger on that, but not a whole bunch of blue professional bars yet. So there we go. Rip through the charts, show you what's going on. I think next week's going to be super important. Looking forward to it. So hope your trading is going well. And let's see if I can put out a video midweek next week about something pertinent. Anyway, hope your trading is going well. Looking forward to next week.